Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, my colleague, the Global Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Governor of the Bank of Mauritius, Excellencies from the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let me once again welcome Mrs. Lagarde. It's very rare we receive in Mauritius such a distinguished personality and also a personal friend of our country. Thank you very much for taking the time from your holidays in Mauritius to come to visit us in Maurice. I'd like also to thank you and the IMF for the support that we've received from the IMF over the years. This is highly appreciated, especially the technical assistance that we receive from you. In this year, 2012, we have received a number of missions from the IMF, the annual Article 4 consultation, which we found very useful. The mission on the exchange rates, which I think was in May of this year, and also a mission from the IMF on the creation of secondary market for government securities. Mrs. Lagarde, we're glad to know that our island has demonstrated this year again strong resilience to the world economic crisis, despite the double-dip recession in Europe. In the euro area, Mauritius is estimated to have grown by 3.3% this year, which we believe is a tremendous achievement compared at least to similar island economies around the world. Our budget deficit, final figures for this year, will be around 1.9%, which is a record for the last decade. This represents slightly less capital expenditure than planned, but also, Mrs. Lagarde, a 10.4% increase in tax receipts, which we think are due to reforms in tax administration this year. Now, we are looking to achieve the balanced budget in Mauritius within the next 5 years. And this will obviously also result in reducing our overall debt from the current 53.5% to 50% within the statutory limit that we've set for 2018. Perhaps as importantly, I'd like to say that we are borrowing this year and next year only to finance capital expenditure. We're not borrowing to finance recurrent expenditure. Unemployment, Mrs. Lagarde, hovers around 8%, slight increase from last year. If you look only at the male unemployment figures, you find that it's at 5%, which is frictional unemployment. However, we do have an issue with youth unemployment, like many countries, and we promise to tackle that energetically next year by an elaborate program of training and placement for our youth. Inflation this year will fall to 3.9% from around 6.5% last year. Our official reserves will increase to 5.2 months at the end of this year compared to about 4.5 a year ago. We have the balance of payment surplus of around 3 billion rupees, but we acknowledge that we have an issue with the current account deficit, which requires careful monitoring. And perhaps surprisingly, we're continuing to do well in terms of FDI, and this year we should receive something like $300 billion in FDI. All this good performance has resulted in Moody's upgrade from the previous Ba2 to Ba1, which is the same rating as South Africa and so. Next year, barring further crises in Europe and hoping that the situation will stabilize, with also a diversification of our markets and the continuing diversification of the economy, we are working for a 4% growth rate. We are neither, famous saying, I think by Money, we're neither optimistic nor pessimistic. We are just determined to work towards that. In the last budget, the budget for next year, budget 2013, was addressed at harnessing development through technology, which we think is very important in this day and age, be that in the public sector, the private sector, households, and our youth. We're also concentrating on empowering the poor, particularly through better schooling and better school conditions. We have elaborated an Africa strategy. We think that the Africa story is not just about growth, but about transformation, which is different, and that we are going to look at sustained development in the continent over the next few years and the foreseeable future. Now, Mauritius is moving on several fronts. Firstly, we are now, I think, well set to be a platform for investment into Africa. Our companies incorporated this year, targeting Africa, have increased substantially compared to the previous year. So our financial services center offers everything that an international investor would wish to have as a base for investing into Africa. We do also host the Commerce and Infrastructure Fund, which at the recent Commerce meeting last week was decided that this fund should be increased to $1 billion for investment into infrastructure on the African continent. There is also this misconception that we're a tax haven. We are not a tax haven. We are definitely a low tax jurisdiction, our highest tax rate being 15%. The tax haven also come with secrecy, and of course Mauritius, via its elaborate double taxation agreements and various tax information exchange agreements that we are signing, and we have signed and will be signing, Mauritius is definitely not a tax haven, and we are on the white list of all the important organizations. So, as a base for investment into Africa, we are also very active in increasing trade, intra-African trade. With my colleague, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we have joined a 5-member group of countries with the energetic help of the World Bank, I must say, and we are moving towards collaboration with these 5 countries to break down the trade barriers and increase the ease of doing business, increase the reforms, and also tap into funds, multilateral funds, to assist us in the transformation period. Very recently, the Prime Minister's Office has removed visa restrictions for virtually all African citizens, free travel visa requirements. So virtually any African citizen, apart from those coming from 4 countries, virtually every African citizen can now travel to Mauritius without having previously taken a visa. The port, where we are today, is going to witness substantial development over the next few years, with about 5 billion rupees, 150 million dollars of investment in its container terminal. The airport, as you may have seen as you arrived, Mrs. Lagarde, has the airport terminal and the landing strip, etc., are being substantially developed. We've set up in Mauritius an Africa Center for Business Excellence, which is in its infant stage. Nevertheless, its aim is to assist local and international businessmen with information, contacts, and assistance for investment and trade in Africa. And it will have, hopefully by the end of this year, correspondence in each capital in Africa to be able to assist us in this task. The next item where Mauritius wishes to intervene is in capacity building, and we are delighted, really delighted, that the IMF has accepted to set up the Regional Institute for Sub-Saharan Africa to set this up in Mauritius. It's a great honor for Mauritius, and of course we have pledged fully our support so that it's actually a great success. And we hope in this way to help to train high officials in macroeconomic management, financial policy, etc., from all over the continent. The ambition of Mauritius is to be a regional hub, and we're extremely happy that we are hosting here Africa, which is the technical assistance department office of the IMF, the regional multidisciplinary center of excellence are the NC, the Commissariat of Social Fund, which I mentioned just now, the Bank of Maurice is operationalizing the regional payments and settlement system of COMESA, and only last week the COMESA PTA Bank announced that it will open the regional office in Mauritius. So all this is going to this creation of a regional hub for Africa in Mauritius. This is based on what we think is a well-defined strategy. Mauritius wishes to achieve something like 5% annual growth once the world crisis calms down. And with this annual growth, we want to double the wealth of our citizens in real terms over the next 15 years. And in this way, eliminate absolute poverty in Mauritius. As a friend of our country, Mrs. Lagarde, I'm sure we can count on your help and support in achieving this valuable goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. I have now the pleasure of inviting Mrs. Lagarde to make her statement. Mrs. Lagarde.
Thank you very much. Monsieur le Vice-Premier ministre, Monsieur le Ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Monsieur le Gouverneur de la Banque centrale, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, vos commissaires, représentants de vos pays, d'abord merci beaucoup d'être venus cet après-midi pour assister à la signature de cette Letter of Understanding que nous allons avec Monsieur le Vice-Premier ministre signer ce matin. Now some of you might be worried that I'm going to give my whole speech in French. But given that the French ambassador is present in the room, I thought it would be nice of me to him to actually say a few words in French. I will give the rest of my speech in English so that you all feel more comfortable. And I might conclude in French, you never know. So first of all, let me tell you what a pleasure it is to be here with you, to have shared a very, very delightful and friendly lunch with the Prime Minister in the presence of Mr. Governor and a few restricted number of guests, which has allowed a nice conversation, a nice friendly exchange between friends. I would also like to say that it's very nice to be back in Mauritius. I try to come back here discreetly with my husband and a few family members on a regular basis because I do love this island and I do love the people from Mauritius. I'm here on a special occasion, which is a moment where we actually, in my view, celebrate the meeting of two strategies. You can tell that I'm going away from my notes now, and my scriptwriters are probably very, very concerned about what I'm going to say. But I see that very much as the meeting of two strategies. Your strategy that you beautifully outlined, and the strategy of the IMF as well. Your strategy and the part of it that you've identified has to do with developing this island as a platform, a hub, where those interested in training, vocational training, education, information technology services will be able to come and will be able to receive in, I would say, proximity and reliability the services that they're looking for. So that's part of the development strategy that you've identified with the very noble goal of improving the situation of the people of Mauritius. The strategy of the IMF is slightly different. You know, the IMF is an international financial institution, which I often describe as being in three different lines of businesses. The first line is lending to countries that are facing difficulties, particularly current account difficulties. The second line of business is surveillance. And surveillance means, for those who know, Article 4 done on an annual basis to make sure that what is said about the economy is actually true about the economy. And we go under the skin of the country to actually determine whether or not the numbers and the statistics and the health report actually corresponds to what is being said. And we do that on a regular basis. We've done it recently with Mauritius, and we're very happy with the results. And the third line of business is that of technical assistance. And it's often the one that is less known by those who are familiar with the IMF. Technical assistance is the fastest growing activity of the IMF. And it's quite amazing because technical assistance has delved into training as well as technical assistance. It's capacity building in areas as multiple and varied as those that you are familiar with. It does, it includes macroeconomic developments, public finance, cash management, treasury functions, and all sorts of things having to do with financial institutions as well. And we are just expanding those lines of business on a very steady and fast-growing basis, which is the reason why we have developed regional hubs. And clearly there is a technical hub that is established here in Mauritius. The manager of this technical hub is right here. And we're very pleased to have done so. We have 4 other technical centers in Africa, but clearly this one is a key one, and that is due to serve as a hub. Now what are we doing here, in addition to technical assistance, is critically important. It has to do with training. Now let me give you a few numbers about training. Who do we train? We generally train those officials from Ministers of Finance, from Treasury Departments, from central banks, and we train them in any of those capacity building blocks, if I may say, that I've just mentioned, ranging from running financial institutions to running cash management, to running and raising debt, to framing the macroeconomic terms within which a company will develop its economy. And we are also, in relation to Africa, clearly building that capacity in relation to management of natural resources, which is coming extremely in demand at the moment. How many people do we train a year? You'd be surprised. Nearly 8,000 officials from various ministers around the world at a very high level come to our training sessions. A quarter of them come from sub-Saharan Africa. A quarter of the 8,000, 2,000 officials from various ministers around Africa come to our training session. Now where do they go? One day they will go online, no question about it, but that will not be sufficient anyway. But at the moment, they go anywhere from Washington, where we have our headquarters, to Kuwait City, where we have a training center, to Australia, where we have another one, and to Singapore. And from now on, they will come here. They will come to Port-Louis in Mauritius, where we are setting up such training center. And I would like here to pause to express the IMF gratitude and my gratitude to the Mauritius authorities for their support in cash, in kind. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for the space that you're providing. And thank you very much, Mr. Vice Prime Minister, to you and through you to your entire government for actually supporting the initiative. We will be calling on other donors, and I would like on this occasion to thank those who have already come to the platform, and I mean the authorities of China and the authorities of Australia. Those two countries have contributed significantly to the funding of the initiative of the regional training center. So that's what we are celebrating. Two strategies, one that is clearly anchored here in Mauritius, served by a beautiful geo-strategic and geopolitical platform that will provide proximity, reliability, security for those in need of training, and the strategy of the IMF that aims at really serving the membership, serving our clients. The 188 members forming the IMF are the clients of the IMF. And they want that training. They want it close by. They want it focused on their needs. And we shall be providing that from Mauritius onwards. I know that discreetly a couple of courses may have taken place already, but it will really ramp up and reach full efficiency very shortly. So again, thank you ever so much for your support, your contribution. We will be seeking out additional funds. Clearly what is on the table, anywhere between $10 and $20 million, plus the donations from the Chinese authorities and the Australian authorities. This is significant, but we will be reaching out. So for those ambassadors who represent other countries here than Australia and China, I would like to certainly call on you If you're interested and if your governments are keen in participating in training and financing it, clearly Mauritius will be the place from which we will be targeting and offering services to sub-Saharan African governments. With that, je crois que je devrais dire quelques mots de conclusion en français so that you can lose me delightfully. I will simply say that it has been a good partnership between the IMF and Mauritius. Nous allons poursuivre dans cette voie, continuer à développer nos activités et nous assurer que nous offrons à tous les pays membres du FMI qui souhaitent bénéficier de ces séances de formation, eh bien, les services, la disponibilité de nos formateurs et de nos experts dans les matières qui sont les plus à même de répondre à leurs besoins. Je parlais tout à l'heure de la gestion des ressources naturelles, en particulier de la gestion de la manne financière issue des ressources naturelles, qui sont véritablement un besoin très particulier de cette région de l'Afrique. Je vous remercie infiniment. Je crois que nous allons maintenant échanger nos consentements en matière de formation, bien sûr. Et to all of you who did not understand what I said, it was all proper and dutifully focused. Thank you.